J catalog, and today's projects are based on the Love You Always suite. This suite actually has two bundles, and I'm actually going to be using both of them on one of the cards today. What I love about this suite is it's really soft, pretty, really stylish. Which could be one style versus a cute, bright, fun style. This one's kind of calming and elegant. This suite comes with, let's see, foil sheets. There is a pretty little treat box. There's this gorgeous Blushing Bride metallic ribbon, these heart charms, matte black dots, and Love You Always Specialty Designer Series paper. Now, these are foiled papers. They have a pretty pattern. I'm going to be showing you them in detail in just a couple minutes. And it also includes the True Love Designer Series paper, just black and white papers, which are really striking and bold on their own. So it breaks down into two different bundles. One has a lot of the hearts, some pretty flowers. You Are Always in My Heart. Here's to another year of happily ever after. Happy anniversary. Be My Valentine. So you can see the sentiments are kind of romantic. Great for anniversary cards, wedding cards. And there's another sentiment in here that I love. The best kind of friend is kind like you. You had me at hello. So great sentiments for friends as well. So lots of different occasion cards you could make. Weddings, anniversaries, friendship cards, Valentine cards. Really pretty. The standout from this bundle is the die set, which has this amazing heart with flowers and leaves surrounding it. Some pretty little die cut outlines of flowers. That great banner for stamping your sentiment. And there's also a border, a little heart border on this. So really pretty, soft, elegant, romantic. The companion bundle is the Forever and Always bundle. Again, flowers. I love the scripty words, the love and the always. There are die cuts for both of these, and there are detailed die cuts so you can layer on these two words. I love the additional sentiments. Love you more, with love, love you so much, my whole heart, forever and always, together. So really nice sentiments that group together. Again, the dies, you have outlines of the words, details of the words. You have borders or cutouts for these words that add on to your scripty words. And you've got some pretty little flowers and some leaves. So lots of great tools to work with to make different kinds of projects, different styles of projects. So let's see. Are you ready to see today's project? Let me start off with my pretty elegant Love You More card. This one features the Forever and Always bundle. So you can see I've got some pretty flowers here, some leaves. I've die cut that Love You More, and I'm using the specialty paper, some pretty little champagne rhinestones, and very simple to make, honestly. I'm going to be sharing with you two different techniques for coloring today. So this is the first card we're going to make, Love You More. This is a perfect card for mom, for a relative, for an aunt. I just love that sentiment, love you more. So let's get started. Let me share with you what I'm going to be using. So first off, this card features that specialty paper, and it comes in three different patterns. You've got like a Sahara sand background with some pretty foil leaves. You've got some blooms and leaves. This is like a Blushing Bride background. And you also have a Rococo Rose colored background with flowers again and pretty leaves and stems. And what's great about this set is it's got the shiny finish, and when you flip over, it's all white. So you don't have to make a decision of which side of the paper to use. And you could also use this as your card base because it's white on the inside. So beautiful paper to work with. All right, so then I'm going to share with you the products that you're going to need, or the supplies you're going to need. My card base is Rococo Rose, and this is just cut, it's a half sheet, cut 5.5 by 8.5. I've got a layer of the foil designers, the specialty paper, the Rococo Rose. This one measures 4 by 5.25. I have a mat in Rococo Rose that measures 4 1/8, by 3 1/8. And atop that, I'm going to be layering a Whisper White 3 by 4-inch rectangle. And I have pre-embossed this with the So Subtle embossing folder. So I think you can kind of see that texture. We have 2 different folders that create a great texture for a lot of our backgrounds. This is one of my favorites, the So Subtle embossing folder. I also have some Whisper White scraps. That's what I'm going to be stamping and die cutting. And I'm going to need some of the beautiful gold ribbon, and I'll share with you a little bit more about that when I get there. So let's get started. Let's start off by just creating our base and moving some of our pieces aside. This is the Rococo Rose. I have pre-scored it right at 4 1/4. I'm using my bone folder to just go ahead and fold it over and burnish it down. And on this, I'm going to be layering the Rococo's foiled paper. And I'm just going to use my Stamp and Seal Plus. It's just a flat layer. And again, it's white on the back, so there was no contemplating which side to use on this one. You do want to be careful that you are putting them right side up. So mostly this is going upward. Most of my flowers are pointing up. They are going in both directions, but you can kind of look at overall which way it's directioned. So I'm just going to give a 1/8 inch border all the way around. There's my card base. And next I'm going to go ahead and mount these 2. But before I do that, I'm going to add a little bit of color to this Whisper White layer. And to do that, I'm going to bring in one of the new blending brushes, which is so cool. These are new in the mini catalog. And I'm going to bring in my Blushing Bride ink. I'm going to apply a little bit of ink color. So just going to open that up and slide over. Stampin' Up's pads are a little bit different. We've gone through different models, and I can just see I got some inky fingers. I'm going to want to wipe those down before I go too far. So I always try to have some baby wipes handy because when I'm working with white, that's when my fingers get inkiest, and that's when I want to avoid any kind of smudges because it's going to show up on the white. Let's see. So I'm not able to read the comments right now. Hopefully all is well. All right, so let's keep going. I've got my blending brush. I'm going to just kind of tap inside on the ink pad. And I'm going to start inking up, but I'm going to start off the paper. And I'm just going to start going in a circular motion. I just want a tiny amount of color here, so I'm going to go really lightly. And I want it on all sides. Okay, and there we go. I've just added a little tinge of pink all the way around. So let's see. I just want to make sure everything is flowing. So I'm going to put my blending brush aside. I'm going to go ahead and mount this on the Rococo Rose, again, just with flat adhesive. And sometimes when I'm using the Stampin' Seal Plus, I just need to take my fingertip and kind of guide it until it's winding on the little tool right here. Whoops, and I just changed myself. Let me try that again. There we go. It loves a light touch, by the way. if you press down too much, you're going to bring up paper as well, like I just did. But no worries, I can fix that. I'm just going to remedy that. And here we go. I'm just going to have like 1/16 of a border all the way around. I just want a little bit of color popping this layer up. All right, so I've got 2 layers here. I'm going to hold off on mounting that. I'll do that in just a couple minutes. I'm going to bring in my Whisper White scraps. This is what I'm going to be stamping on. And I've already pre-mounted my stamps. I'm going to be using the large flower, the smaller flower, the leaf. I'm using the Love and You More from the stamp set. And I have pre-mounted them on clear blocks. And let's see, I am going to be using, sorry, I forgot to show you that, Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I'm just looking around. Hopefully I have a piercing mat because these are photopolymer stamps. They do better when you have a piercing mat underneath. All right, so I'm going to start with that big blossom. I'm using the Memento Black ink pad. I'm going to ink up nicely. And just go ahead and stamp down firmly. Make sure you make contact all the way around. And bring up. I'm also going to ink up the smaller blossom. And I'm going to use 2 leaves. Let's see if I can fit one there. And I do want 2. And let's see if I can get my Love on here as well. Not sure if it's going to fit. That's why I have an extra scrap. I'm going to go ahead and ink up nicely. I want a nice bold. Yep, it's going to fit. Pressing down firmly. And I just need one more inking. I need the Love You More. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can just use the second scrap. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to cover up that ink so I don't get my elbows in it. On this particular card, I'm using a dauber to color in my flowers. So I'm using the Blushing Bride. I've got a dauber to pick up some ink. And before I get started though, I am going to fill in the centers of the flower with the light Mango Melody blend. Let me get that out of the way. So I'm going to just color in lightly on both. And since I have my blends out, I'm going to go ahead and do the leaves as well. So here we go. And let's see if I can bring you in just a little closer. Just going to add some color to the leaves. This happens to be dark, soft sea foam. This color has a lot of subtle colors. It's got the rich Rococo Rose to make it pop a little bit. All right, now I'm going to bring in my dauber and I'm just going to put it on the end of my pointer and dab a little on the ink pad. And I'm just going to blend it in gently. I don't want to go outside the line. We are going to be cutting these, but there is a little white area around the flower, so I don't want to go too far. And you can see how I dab off a little bit of the ink because I don't want any splotches on it. So I can go in circular motions or I can just kind of blend it out. I did get a little bit too much on that one. There we go. So I'm going to add a little bit of shadow to it. I'm going to bring in the Rococo Light, the light Rococo Rose blender, and I'm going to come in And any place where I have the guidance from the black lines from the image, I'm going to bring in extra color. I'm going to darken it up a little bit. Those are shadowy areas, the dark areas. And I am using the tip as opposed to the brush on the blend. Just going to bring in a little bit. So, how many Valentines do you think you will send out? I haven't made my list yet. I'm thinking I'm probably in the neighborhood of 10. And I have lots of gifts as well. So, small gifts. But I know that Valentine's Day is a big card sending holiday. You want to have reasons to stay in contact with people. So Valentines are another great way. All right, so I'm liking this style here. The next thing I'm going to do is do my smaller blossom, same way. And again, I'm just following along on these darker areas of the stamp. And I have a little bit of shadowy area. I go all the way around on the outline and then the black lines here. All right. I think I'm pretty happy with my coloring. The next thing I'm going to do, I am going to cut these, and there are coordinating dies. So I'm going to bring in my dies to cut, and I've got them here handy. I've got the larger blossom, smaller blossom, you more, love, and then I've got my little leaf. And I have my mini here. I'm going to bring it on the desktop, open it up, and let's see if I can back up a little bit. And what I love about the mini is I can actually have it at the table with me. With the larger machine, I actually have a little station that I walk over to when I need to do my die cutting. The mini is handy because it's right at the table with me. And I'm just going to do the same. I'm going to follow the same directions. I'm going to use the number 1 plate first, plate number 2, and then next I need my paper and my die. And one little tip for this, I know some of us are struggling with the mini. There are a few little tips I can give you on this. So if you are struggling with keeping the die in place, washi tape is always a great option. So just a tiny bit of tape to hold that die in place so that it doesn't move around on you when you are trying to set up. And then next I need plate number 2. And you know what? I think I'm going to try and get a leaf on here as well if I can. I'm always trying to see how few passes can I make on the cutting machine. So I think I can get 2 leaves, or one of the leaves anyway. And I'm going to use the washi tape so my die doesn't wiggle. And the next tip I have for you is that these plates need to be somewhat staggered. You don't want to make a perfect sandwich there. You want to have them staggered just a tiny bit, and that's just going to help to feed the sandwich through. And I'm going to push it all the way into where the rollers are. I can already see my handle turning, and as I'm turning the handle, I'm going to use my other hand to press down or to hold down. And that's because the mini is so lightweight, it needs a little bit of strength to hold it in place instead of moving about on the tabletop. So there we go. So easy. One of the things I love about it is that it's such a short pass. You don't have to keep cranking to get your dies. So here is my first die cut, and I'm going to lift that off. And I've got my first leaf. And I'm just going to peel that off. And you just have to be careful now with the washi tape, because if you just pull at it, it's just going to tear your paper. So you do need to be gentle with it. There's my first leaf. All right, so I'm ready to do a couple more die cuts. I'm going to bring this in for the larger blossom. And I'm going to do a leaf as well. There we go. And you just want to try and get in there so you see the full image. These dies come pretty close up to the images. And I'm going to take my top plate, make sure it's staggered in, and push it up to the that little leaf moved. So I'm going to get a piece of washi tape and try and hold that into position so it's not moving. And honestly, it's not critical. You're going to see on the card itself that some of the leaf is tucked behind one of the flowers anyway. So in crafting, nothing is ever critical. You just kind of hide and adjust. And there's die cut number 2. And my leaves are done. I'm just going to be gentle and peel that off. I have one small flower and I have one more piece of the sentiment to cut. I don't know if you can hear, I am tossing the little dies into a basket so they're not misplaced. There we go. And I'm going to, oops, again it moved. So I think I do need that little piece of washi tape on there. Let's see. I think it's safer to just go ahead and put it on. But you do want to have it lined up right. And that'll be a short pass. Go. And one more die cut. So one of the nice things about the mini, actually there are many nice things, but when you buy it now, it does qualify you for a celebration pick. The mini comes in at $60, so $50 gets you to level 1 celebration pick. And again, I'm going to be putting that washi tape down on it. And there we go. All right, I'm going to put my mini aside. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my sentiment, love you more. My plate's out of the way. And I'm going to bring back in my card. And let's see. This now will be where I lay out my card. So I'm going to start with the top layer, or the bottom layer, sorry, the larger flower, and I am going to secure that on with flat adhesive. And so there's a couple ways you could do it. You could put glue dots, liquid glue, seal, any of those adhesives. And I'm just going to put it at the top. It's a slight angle. And I'm going to bring in my little leaf. And I should have probably tucked that under first before I glued that down. Let's see if I can still push it underneath. My pick tool is not within reach. There we go. I just want that kind of popping out from the flower. And I'm going to come in with my smaller flower. The smaller one is going to be popped up with some dimensionals. So I'm just going to put maybe one larger dimensional on the back and bring it in here. Put the other leaf down opposite this flower. And I just need a little bit of adhesive. And I'll push that to the back. It's coming together. I'm going to pop my love up as well with a dimensional. It is going to be, you know what, before I do that, I'm going to add my ribbon. So here's the ribbon I'm using. It is the Fine Art ribbon. It's got gold flecks in it, and this comes from the Floral Fine Art Suite. But this suite actually has Blushing Bride ribbon with some metallic in it, but I just wanted a little pop of gold as opposed to more pink. So I'm going to get a small cutting of this ribbon, and I'm looking around for my ribbon scissors. There we go. And it's probably about 10 inches. This is just going to be tied into a knot, not even going to bow it, just going to do a little knot all the way to the edge. And let's see. And I don't worry about the tails of the ribbon at this point because they're going to be trimmed off. There we go. Push that up. There we go. I'm going to trim that back in just a minute. First, I'm going to add my love now. Now it's kind of in position for me, so I know I can put my love over the ribbon. I'm going to put that on with a dimensional over on the edge, and I'm going to use the mini dimensionals. Part of this is going to be layered over the flower, so I don't want to stack dimensionals on top of dimensionals. I'm just going to bring it in here, a little bit high, right around there. And if I want to secure that down, I can use a little glue dot. I'm just going to slide that underneath, so I'll pick it up with my scissor tips, and then just push it right underneath there so it stays in position. Now the U More is added again with mini dimensionals. It's going to pop up. And this is going to be placed right below the gold ribbon. A little bit tilted. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and trim that up. Trim those tails back just a little bit. And just about done. This now gets mounted onto the card base, and I'm going to pop it up with dimensionals on the back. So I'm going to use about 4 dimensionals here. And it gets mostly centered here. So you're going to have about a ½ inch border all the way around. Pop that up. And we have a couple of finishing touches yet. I'm going to bring in my Wink of Stella and add some shimmer to the flower. Just going to brush that all over so it's nice and sparkly. This is just makes the card shine literally. And I'm going to come right in underneath on both layers of the flowers. And then next I'm going to add some little sparkle. On this one, again, I'm going to be using champagne rhinestone basic jewels. These aren't part of the suite, but I think they really go nicely with that floral art ribbon. Really pretty color. And I'm going to bring that up with my my scissor tips. just going to put one just below the love. And a couple towards the top above the flower. And bring it out there. And there you go. Love You More, Valentine's Day card number 1. And so we've got the two, almost twins, a little bit of difference, but really pretty elegant flower, actually pretty simple to make, a little bit of coloring with the ink pad and a dauber. So that applied the ink really softly, and I think it looks really pretty with this bold Rococo rose background with that floral print black background. All right, so let's go on to card number 2, Valentine's Day card number 2. This is a card that I shared with my club this month. It is, again, based on the Forever and Always bundle. I've got that Cool Love die cut again and the You More. This features the other paper that's in the suite, the True Love paper. And let me share with you that beautiful paper. It is amazing. So one of the things that's cool about this is the black and white contrast. And on one side, we have a lot of really pretty florals. So there are some with more of a white background, some that are really dense with black. Again, different kinds of blossoms. Some are more elegant than others, some are very casual. And again, when we flip over, of course, Stampin' Up's paper is beautiful on both sides. This side has the beautiful geometrics that make great backgrounds for all different cards and occasions. We've got stripes and funky squares, all kinds of different patterns, polka dots, diagonals, really pretty paper to work with. And so for this card, I am going to be using a couple of those different papers. I'm going to bring that aside and share with you what I'm using. And let's see if I can get everything out here. Let's see. All right, so you can see I'm using one of the florals, the black and white florals, and one of the geometrics as well. And my card base this time is Blushing Bride, the lighter pink. Same dimensions, it's 5.5 by 8.5. My mat, whoops, that is Winston on duty. Okay, my mat measures, I believe, 3 1/8 by 4 1/8, and the floral will be matted on that, and the pattern measures, let's see, 4 1/4 by 2 1/4, and I have also a couple of scraps. And I have a heart that I have pre-cut. I didn't want you to have to watch me do too much die cutting. This heart comes from the coordinating dies for the Always in My Heart. That beautiful floral heart cutout has a second, has the negative or the positive, whichever you see. And so you can use it either on the same card or you can use it on a different card. I just chose to hold on to that portion, and I'm going to be using it on this Valentine's Day card. So let's start off. Let's get some things matted here. My card base, again, it's been pre-scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and fold that over and burnish. And I'm going to take my pattern paper, and that is going to be flat adhered to the card base. I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal and just run that up. And I'm going to abut this to the fold and about 1/4 of an inch over from the left, being very careful to abut to the fold. And that way I have the overhang at the bottom of the card. Now I can go through and just snip it so it's even. Much easier to snip from the bottom than it is at the fold. So there's my card base. It's already in place and ready to go. I'm going to set that aside for just a second, and I'm going to bring in my pattern paper. These pretty blossoms, you can either color them in with blends or you can leave them black and white, whichever you prefer. I did color mine in, and I'm using, again, the soft seafoam dark, the light rococo rose, and I'm using the light petal pink. So obviously the seafoam for the leaves, and this is really quick and easy blending. Just going to put down a little bit of color, and I'm not going too vibrant. It's just applying a small amount of color to make the flowers pop a little bit in the background. There we go. There's my leaves. Now I'm going to come in and I am going to apply a little bit of rococo rose. I'm going to use the brush tip, and this is where I'm going to do my darker areas, like where the black lines on the flowers are. Just going to scatter out, and I'm just doing light sweeps with the blend all over. And I'm just going to be applying a little bit of the darker color. I'm going to come in with the light petal pink and blend in. So just a little bit of color here, a few waves. There we go. And I'm going to bring in with the petal pink and just blend this in. And I'm just applying pink all around. And the brush tip makes it go really quickly. When you are using your blends, you want to make sure that you have a mat on your table, because when you turn over your paper, you will see that because it is alcohol based, it has gone through and there might be a little bit of residual that comes out onto your tabletop. So you want to make sure it's protected with some kind of a craft mat or paper of some sort. Okay, there we go. And I'll show you what I mean. When you flip over, you can see the color that's come through on the other side. All right, let's see here. I'm going to come back in and I'm going to add a little bit more detail around the edges of the flowers. Just going around the edges a tiny bit. There we go. So just a reminder, make sure you are posting a comment. What do you think? Is this a project you would do? If you do make it, be sure you post it down below in the comment section so I can see what you're doing. I do get text from some stampers who create the projects, and I'd love for you to share them online with so everybody can see. Whether you duplicate this exactly as I made it, or if you switch it up and have your take on it, I'd love to see your final product as well. As a reminder, I am rewarding comments, sharing, and thumbs up with an entry into the drawing to receive that sweet sampler this week. There we go. All right, so I'm pretty happy with the way this has turned out. I'm ready now to mount this onto my black mat, and that's going to be mounted with just flat adhesive. And I have a little bit of a border all the way around. And next I'm going to be using the coordinating ribbon, that beautiful Blushing Bride metallic ribbon. And again, I'm going to be just knotting it over to the left. So no bulky bow or anything, just a little bit of shimmery color. So basic knot. And by the way, when I do that, I try to make sure that I don't have any extra twists in my ribbon. So let's see if I can bring you in a little bit closer. Some of us struggle with making knots and bows. So what I've done is just cross that over. You can see one goes up, one comes down. Now I'm going to try and put one pointer in place, and I'm going to bring up the bottom ribbon, go behind the top one, and then just slide it straight through in the knot and pull. And you could go for the metallic side or the shine, just the shiny side. Either way, the ribbon just shows off beautifully there. And I'm going to try and slide that knot all the way to the end. So I'm just going to kind of bow my card base or my mat and bring that down. There we go. All right, so next I'm going to bring in that heart that was the leftover of my fancy heart. And again, I'm going to do the same as I did earlier and use my blending brush and my Blushing Bride pad. And I'm going to put a little bit of color on that heart. So tapping into the pad, let me see if I can pull you back out. You can see a little bit more. There we go. Just tapping into the pad, I'm going to start off my focal point and blend it in. And I'm going in circular motions. And you can go as heavy as you like, or you can add just a touch of color. So then I'm going to flip it over and do a little bit on the other side as well. So it's all around. There we go. All right, so that's ready. I am going to place this onto my mat, and I'm going to do that with dimensionals. So flip that over. And coming down. And I'm going to bring this up, place it like so, bring it in. And then next, my love is going to be adhered flat on the heart, but it's going to pop up off the edge. So I'm going to put a mini dimensional here on the E, or right behind the E. And just a little bit of liquid glue. And let's see. As far as placement, I'm just going to bring it in. There we go. And I'm going to add the U more, so I need to stamp that as well. That I didn't pre-stamp, looks like. So let's see. There's the stamp. Here's the Tuxedo Black, and this is photopolymer, so I'm going to pop that up and stamp down. And I can either die cut this, or I can just hand snip. This is just a straight cut anyway. Let's see how I do just cutting it. I'm going to bring in my paper snips and go for it. So the die cut obviously is going to be perfect. Hand snip can be just about perfect. I'm going to bring over just a tiny edge here. And I'm going to trim it just a little bit closer to the lettering. So easy snip. And you have a choice. You can get your cut in a boss machine, or you can just hand snip it. And I'm going to try and trim it just a tiny bit. There we go. And this gets popped up also with mini dimensionals. There we go. And I'm going to put it right above the ribbon, right around there. This then gets adhered flat to the card base. I'm going to flip that over, put a little bit of my favorite adhesive. Not a lot. And it gets mounted right in the center. All right. And I'm going to trim up these ribbon tails, coming in a little bit closer. And here. And then finally, I'm going to add my little accents. I'm going to use, for this one, I'm going to use those matte black dots. I'm going to use about 3 of them. And these come in a great package. The matte black have small and large dots. I'm using the smaller ones. And I'm just going to use my paper snips to come in underneath and put them right below the L. And right above the V. And there we go. There's our second Valentine's Day card with the, let's see, what's the name of this? The entire suite is Love You Always. So we've got 2 cards, 2 different styles right now, both with the Love You Always suite, but I have some others to share with you. These, by the way, are available now. They do qualify you for, or purchasing them qualifies you for your celebration picks. So it's the best time of the year to be shopping with Stampin' Up! When you get extra gifts. And at the beginning of the recording, let's see, I offered to show you 6 different Valentine's Day cards that you can create this holiday. So let me share with you some others. This one I received from a swap. It was cased straight out of the catalog, but it features that beautiful heart die cut and the shimmery white paper. And the banner comes from the same die set. So really pretty, a Rococo Rose base, the shimmer white heart, and the Blushing Bride banner makes a really stunning card. Really easy to create. Here is another card featuring the Love You Always suite. Here I'm using that beautiful heart, and that die set has the smaller cuttings for little blossoms and leaves that you can attach. Also some pretty flowers that I colored using the blends and cut. And I'm using the Sahara Sand specialty paper as well. Blushing Bride paper, which has been zipped through the Stamp and Emboss machine with the Tasteful Textures embossing folder. Here is another one I created with the Happy Galentines stamp set using the Oso Ombre celebration paper and the True Love paper that I have hand snipped and colored in with the blends. And again, these hearts were made from the Oso Ombre paper. I used the heart dual punches, one straight edge and one scallop edge heart, and just some twine from the Pampered Pets collection. And then finally another card from the Hey Galentines stamp set with that cute snail from the Snail Mail stamp set. So here are my Valentine's Day cards. I've got quite a few examples for you. Let's see if I can bring them down for you. There you go. So lots to choose from. I'm going to click you over. And let's see if I can come straight over. There you go. So lots of samples for your Valentine's Day cards. Some pretty, some a little bit bolder, some cute. I hope it inspires you to get stamping and to send out your Valentine's Day card. Once again, if you will post a comment, if you give me a thumbs up or a share, you will be entered into the drawing to win the Sweet Sampler stamp set. If you came in a little bit late, you are welcome to skip over to the YouTube channel, Just Stamp, and view the clean recording. I will post it as soon as I can upload it. And I invite you to return next Friday as well. Hope to see you then. Thanks for